They say you get what you pay for, but what if that's not true? The GameSir Cyclone 2 might just prove you don't need to spend over $100 for a pro level PC controller. Today we're going to test its build quality, software, responsiveness, and see if this budget controller can actually hang with the big dogs. While I get a grasp of how the controller feels, let's go over the specs real quick. It has a 1000 Hz polling rate. It does have 2.5 gigahertz and Bluetooth connectivity, TMR joysticks, Hall effect and micro 2-in-1 triggers, and it's compatible with PC, Switch, Android, and iOS. It also comes with a charging dock. Now let's talk about what we get in the box. So, first thing you get in the box is the charging dock. Has Type-C. You can put the dongle in the front, and then it's wireless charging. You just set it on and it charges. As long as you line up the gold connectors, it's gonna work. You get that 2.5 gigahertz dongle. And of course you get the controller. And I'm actually going to show you how to charge it. I know I told you how, but let me show you how. You just line it up, set it on there, and it should start charging. Oops, I missed. Okay, now it's on there, and that's how it looks. Now I'm going to be quiet, and I'm going to do a quick clicky button test. Now, in case you didn't see, I'm going to show you how to adjust it from micro to Hall effect or Hall effect to micro. It's actually, they're not easy to push. You have to intentionally press the switch. So you're going to grab the switch and you're just going to flip it. Now you're in Hall effect mode. And then if you want to go micro, switch it back down and you're in micro mode. Now we're on to the computer part. I'm going to show you how to install the software first and which one is the correct software. So we're going to go here and we're going to go to the Windows Store. And we're going to type up in here, GameSir. It's not this one. And it's not GameSir Nexus. It is GameSir Connect. So you're going to click it, press install, and download it. Now let's open the software and take a look at it. Turn the controller on. Now we're going to dive deep into the app. So when you first launch the app, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have your different profiles on the top, and it shows you how to switch the profiles without having to go into the software every time. So you hold down the mode button and use the right stick to cycle through. And then up here you have your information. You can scan the QR code and join their Discord server for updates. There is a turbo mode and it's off right now. Then right here is the update tab. You'll click it and it'll tell you if there's new firmware update, which I need to update it. And it's going to tell you the explanation for the update, exactly what's going to change with the update. Then you can reset it back to default. Button test, you can perform a button test, so you just click it and you test all the buttons on the controller. hold M to exit. Now, let's talk about this. So, we can click on light and we can change one out of 4 different LEDs. I do like how it just updates. Whenever you click it, you can see what it's going to look like on the controller in the software. You can change the brightness and the speed. It has an audio reactive mode, so if you're playing a game and you want it to react to your gameplay, you can do that. You can pick up the controller for it to wait, and then you can make it where it goes to sleep after a certain long without being messed with. And you can pick up to 4 different animations, and this takes you back home. As you can tell, there is 1000 hertz polling rate, and you get to choose between 250 hertz and 500. I don't see why that's an option. Why not just make it 1000 hertz right off the go? Now let's look at the sticks. The sticks, you can have different adjustment curves. They don't have names for them, but they have little images, so you can see how they're gonna work. And you can control the dead zone. Now let's look at the motion. It does have gyro, so you can pick the different modes. Looks like one's like you're driving and one's like you're flipping the controller. And of course you have to activate it. You can always have it on. I personally do not use gyro, so I'm gonna leave that off. The button to activate it can be the left stick. And you can control the dead zone on that too as well. It's literally the exact same curves. You have your straight diagonal one, curved a little bit, upwards, slight curve to the left, right, and then custom, of course. You can also change the sensitivity scale, and you can invert your X and Y axis if you want to. Now, buttons. Every button on this controller is reprogrammable, including this one. This button, it's like it records like a gameplay clip if you have that set up. It's like the share button on the Xbox controller. That's the best way to describe it. But yes, you can change every single button on this controller, which I really do like. Okay, they do have an advanced mode where you can use left mouse, right mouse. Basically, you can use your controller like a mouse. And in turbo mode, you can go all the way up to 30 hertz. You can even have it program certain keyboard buttons, or you can map multiple keyboard buttons up to 3. That's nice. I really like this. Okay, now what's next? Vibration. You can control the vibration modules just like the Apex. I think that's very convenient. Or you can just turn them off if you want. I like how you can just, whenever you turn this on, you can test it by just pulling the triggers. I like that. And you see in real time which trigger you're pulling. So that looks like it's about it for the software. Now we're going to move over to the polling test, the latency test. Now we're going to move over to the latency test. Now we're over. I'm using polling again from Gamepad LA. Now we're going to do a test. Right now it's on wireless mode, 1000 hertz polling rate. It does pick it up as an Xbox 360 controller. Now let's do a test. Start with the left stick. And remember guys, if you're doing this yourself, do not stop turning the controller. Now, let's see what that one came out. The polling rate was 993, close to 1000. The refresh interval average was 1.01. The minimum was 0.78, maximum was 1.84, and the jitter was 0.09 milliseconds. Now the outliers, there were 102 outliers. The percentage was 5.10%, and the average delay was 1.37. That's for the first one. We're going to do each test for each thumbstick 3 times. Okay, that was a little bit slower on the polling grade. The minimum and the average are about the same. The maximum is up. It's 2.14 milliseconds this time, and the jitter was up again to 0.11. 126 outliers, which is more than the last time. The percentage was higher at 6.3%. The average delay was 1.4 milliseconds. Okay, one more time. Okay, that one was even closer to the advertised 1000 hertz polling rate at 995. The minimum interval was 0.81, lower than the last time. The average was about 1 millisecond, and that's about average. The other two were around that too, so give or take. Maximum was 1.76, and the jitter was back down to a very low number at 0.08 milliseconds. The outlier, we had 96 outliers, which is way less than the last time, with a 4.8% on that, and the average was 1.32 milliseconds. Okay, now let's go to the right thumbstick. Okay, the polling rate was 994. The minimum was the minimum interval was 0.82 milliseconds. The average interval was 1.01 milliseconds. The maximum interval was 2.0 milliseconds. And the jitter was 0.08. Now, there were 80 outliers. The percentage was about 4%. The average outlier delay was 1.4 milliseconds. That's our first run. Second one is basically the same, not too much of a difference. Just a little bit up more on the outliers, but other than that, it's about the same. Let's run it one more time. Okay, so it's averaging very close to 1000 hertz polling rate. It's not quite making it, but it gets close enough. In the milliseconds, barely even noticeable. You're not going to notice that. The human cannot detect that. The brain cannot detect that at all. Now I'm going to add that all up, and I'm going to bring it down to average for you. Okay, after adding it all up, the polling rate's average was 990, so slightly below the 1000 advertised, but you won't notice the difference. The minimum refresh was 0.82, average was 1.01, and the maximum was 2.9. They were an average of 94 outliers and an average of 1.64 outlier delay. Okay, now we're finally at the end of the video, and this is where I'm going to give you my thoughts and opinions. So, what I like about the controller, I love the price, $55.99. For what you get for that price, it's an amazing controller. So, I love the fact that you can switch between micro and Hall effect triggers just by flipping a switch. Now, I don't know how durable the switches are, but they're very hard to move back and forth. You're not going to accidentally actuate it. And I love the buttons. The buttons are a little bit mushy for the tactile feel compared to the Apex 4, but they're not too much. If you don't really care about that, then it is what it is. And it does have 2 buttons on the back of the controller. For the price, they had to cut corners somewhere, and I think that's where they cut it at. I personally prefer 4, but most of my friends, they only prefer 2 buttons. And overall, I'm very satisfied with this controller. I will be giving it to my dad. That's who I bought it for. But other than that, I love the controller. I say, this has been Jake from Jake's Home Lab. If you liked my content, please comment, like, subscribe, and thank you for watching. Have a great day.